Hi there, welcome to Small Talks with MyWellbeing. My name is Jneé Hill. I'm a therapist in New York City. I'm thrilled to be here as the guest host for this episode and to be here with you all today. So today we are going to talk about a question that people frequently ask themselves. Am I the reason that things go wrong in my life? And that is quite a loaded question, I've got to say. I know we've all been there when things don't seem to be going the way we want them to, or life in general just really isn't that great. It's very common and very human to wonder if things are all your fault. And it honestly makes sense how we get to that question, because at the end of the day, we are the common denominator in everything that happens in our lives. While wondering if you're the reason that things go wrong in your life may be a natural question to pose to yourself, it's not always entirely fair or even helpful. So initially, I would say that nothing in life is so black and white. We all exist in the gray areas. It's important to keep this in mind when posing this question to yourself. I would suggest holding this question with a bit more of a nuanced lens. And with that in mind, I would say the answer is maybe, but we have to be able to differentiate between areas where you as an individual can take ownership and areas where there were things outside of your control that had a large impact on you. So let's take an example. Perhaps you're asking yourself if it's your fault that you struggle with relationships in your life. So let's say maybe you grew up in an explosive household. Maybe you had parents who struggled or had issues. Their issues aren't your fault, but you were a kid and you grew up in this environment and in this system where you were taught and learned how to be the way that you are. So a part of that was certainly outside of your purview. The ways you may have learned to interact with others or to respond to your emotions or deal with conflict. What is within your control is choosing to do things differently. And while that can be extremely challenging and difficult, it's also very empowering to know that we have a choice and we have the power to direct our lives. So again, the short answer is maybe, maybe you are part of the reason that some things go wrong in your life, but you're certainly not the full reason that everything goes wrong in your life. These sort of things don't really exist in a vacuum. And that's really because we are all socialized and living within a system, environment, culture, which helps to shape our beliefs, our values, and behaviors. And at the same time, you are an individual that has agency and can make conscious choices. I find it more important to flip the script a little bit, to think about this in a way that is empowering so that you can realize that you are in control of your life and you can shape your life the way you want it to be. So just to wrap up, I would suggest two things anytime this question comes up for you. First, I would suggest that you approach it with a both and perspective. And that's really just circling back to what I previously mentioned about understanding that there are some things outside of your control and some which are in your control. Working to be able to hold both, that you are a being who was born and raised in certain environments which impacted you and are out of your control, and you're a whole individual who has the reins of your life in your hands. You can choose differently. You can work on acceptance and compassion around things you had little control over and actively decide differently for yourself. Secondly, I would encourage you to flip the narrative a bit. What does it matter whose fault it is? I suggest reframing this question to illustrate that you have the capacity to drive your life. Beneath this question, there are deeper concerns about the self and a question of what are we going to do about this, whatever this is. At the end of the day, it's less about whose fault things are and more so about what can we do about it. Now, of course, with this one I just mentioned, please only do this after a good amount of processing and allowing your emotions to be felt. All of your feelings and experiences are valid. They deserve time, space, and being held in a healing way. This suggestion certainly comes after doing some emotional healing work. So I hope that was helpful. I think that this is a wonderful question that allows the opportunity for you to learn about and extend self-compassion towards yourself and about how empowering ownership can be. Thank you so much for listening today. It's been a pleasure. If you'd like to learn more about me, feel free to visit claritytherapyonline.com. Otherwise, I hope the small talk was helpful. Please comment to add your voice to the conversation and share with friends who you believe would benefit from the small talk. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.